Alright guys, the games in the Championship are coming thick and fast at the moment, and we've got some cracking ones to go ahead and preview in today's video. As always, do get your thoughts in the comments down below. How do you see this weekend in the Championship unfolding? Got a couple games going on tomorrow on Friday night, all the Saturday fixtures as usual, and also quite a tasty looking Sunday fixture as well. As always, do leave a like if you're going to enjoy, but without any further ado, let's hop into these. Starting out with the first of the Friday games, we've got Sheffield United going up against Hull at Bramall Lane. This should be an interesting one. Sheffield United certainly coming into this one as the favourites. They've been strong at home all season. It was another really composed performance last time out as they put 3 goals past Stoke. They've only lost 2 matches at Bramall Lane all season. Hull do pose more of a threat now under Liam Rossini. He's tightened them up at the back. They're facing less shots per 90 and more importantly conceding less goals. While I don't think they were at their sparkling best last time out against Huddersfield, they did get back into that one with their stupid hand popping up with that 98th minute equaliser. Ultimately, it took them a little bit of time to get going in that game, but eventually managed to click up through the gears. Hull have actually been better on the road this season than they have been at home. More of their points have come away from home, and last time out on the road, they obviously put 4 goals past Wigan in that fantastic 4-1 showing. I don't think this will be a complete write-off. I think that Hull will put up a decent fight in this one and will be defensively quite regimented, but it's tough to see past the Sheffield United side at the moment with the momentum they're building and the willingness to go ahead and, you know, leave everyone else in the dust behind them. I think I'm going to go 2-0 Sheffield United in this one right here. And then for the second of the Friday night kickoffs, we've got Burnley going up against West Brom. Each of the top 2 both in action on Friday night, and this one has the potential to be an absolute cracker. Burnley still the only Championship side yet to lose a home match this season. Will it happen at some point? I think if it was ever going to happen, West Brom will pose one of the biggest threats given their current run of form under Carlos Corberán. We spoke last time about West Brom's biggest test under Corberán so far, perhaps coming against Luton. Well, they've got an even bigger one around the corner right here. West Brom handled that game fantastically after a slow start which saw them 2 goals down, turning it around to win it 3-2 without Thomas Asante as well. That lack of goals wasn't a problem for West Brom with Daryl Dike, who's been leading the line for them expertly as of late. Burnley do cause a unique threat though with how well they hold on to the ball, how well they play through the thirds, and those threats they have from those wide areas and how dynamic those players can be, linking up and interchanging with their midfielders. With all that being said, I'm predicting a Burnley win every week, aren't I? I want to switch it up a little bit. I'm going to say that maybe West Brom could sneak a point from this one. I think they've been really impressive under Corberán, and I'd be interested to see that tactical battle between him and company in this one. So, score prediction, I'm going to go 1-1 between these two. Not going to back Burnley for 3 points like I usually do. Next then to Coventry up against Norwich. This will be a really telling game for Norwich especially, because we'll see if that real statement performance against Preston was a one-off sort of thing or it's a repeated pattern of how Norwich intend to play going forward under Wagner. I said it in the Championship roundup, but Norwich were, for me, the best team that's come to Deepdale this season. They absolutely wiped the floor with Preston last weekend, putting 4 goals past us. Thought their front 3 interchanged absolutely brilliantly. Kieran Dowell hopping into and dropping into midfield spaces, linking up with Pukki and Hernandez ahead of him, and Pukki absolutely rolling back the years in that one. Coventry have had a fairly tough run of fixtures recently. They obviously just came out of that narrow 1-0 defeat against Burnley, where I actually thought they defended quite well. Their squad is looking particularly stretched at the minute though, and given how many options Norwich have to play around with and how good I thought they looked at the weekend against Preston, I think I've got to have to go for an away win here. Score prediction, I'm going to go 2-0 Norwich in this one. Just feel like they're building something there under Wagner at the moment. Next then to St Andrews for Birmingham up against Preston. 2 sides who aren't on a great run at the moment. 2 sides who each shipped 4 goals in their last game week. Birmingham conceding 4 against Bristol City, Preston conceding 4 against Norwich. From a Preston perspective, that one was up there with one of our worst showings of this season so far. The only really saving grace I can think coming into this game is that our away form has actually been pretty consistent this year, especially compared to our home form. Neither team has been particularly particularly great since the return to action after the international break though. Preston picking up 6 points from 6 matches, Birmingham picking up just 4 points from their 6 matches since they've returned. Both teams conceding plenty of goals at the moment and both teams averaging just 1 goal per game since that return. This one has the feeling of the sort of game of two teams coming off 2 batterings where they've conceded a lot of goals recently, and 2 managers who are just going to be looking to shut up shop in this one. And it's been a while since I've called a 0-0 for Preston, but this one has that sort of feeling to me, especially while Preston are still trying to bed in these new forwards. You know, Cannon and Delap still very much finding their feet at North End, and Evans out of the equation at the moment. So score prediction, I'm going to go for a boring 0-0 between Birmingham and Preston, I think. And then to Bloomfield Road for Blackpool up against Huddersfield. Blackpool finally deciding to bite the bullet and part ways with Michael Appleton. I had the feeling that coming into this weekend, it might have been this game which determined his future. I could definitely have seen the case where had Blackpool not at least won this match, Appleton would have then faced the chop. But they decided to go ahead and make that decision beforehand, and to be honest, it's probably been a long time coming. Their recent run of form in the Championship has been absolutely turgid, and there's been just no real signs of life from that Blackpool squad under him. So I think in the end that was a decision that they had to make, and Blackpool fans, would be interested to hear from you guys in the comments down below. Where do you see yourselves going from here? What type of manager would you like to bring in? It's a massive game which rolls around at the weekend. They come thick and fast in the Championship at the moment, but given Blackpool's situation, a home tie against Huddersfield doesn't get much bigger than this. Some potential vulnerabilities that I think Huddersfield will look to target this Blackpool side with. Blackpool have been particularly vulnerable from defending set-piece situations this season. They've got the 3rd worst record in the Championship for going ahead and doing so. And as Huddersfield are somewhat of a set-piece speciality expert, Huddersfield will look to target Blackpool in those areas. We've had a lot of draws between teams down at the bottom of the table recently, and I think I'm heading that way between these two. There's just too many unknowns with Blackpool, especially after parting ways with the manager. So score prediction, I'm going to go 1-1 between these two, sitting on the fence as always. Next then to Ashton Gate for Bristol City up against Blackburn. Now, every indicator that we go off says that Bristol City should be going into this one full of confidence. They've just put 4 goals past Birmingham, finally started to turn around their home form, which had got a little bit toxic, before Christmas, and scoring more goals now. Semenyo's in fine form at the moment. They're going up against the Blackburn side, who have just conceded 4 goals themselves and look miles off the pace against Rotherham. But that's not the nature of the Championship, and it's definitely not the nature of these two sides to follow any sort of momentum. Blackburn have rarely lost 2 games on the bounce all season. They have had very good bounce back ability, and for whatever reason go between contrasts of being amazing one week and absolutely turgid the next. They have been a little bit more spotty on the road, to be fair, than they have at home, but with their tendency to just not draw football matches, that pretty much rules out that prediction right there. And so with not much logic behind this prediction, albeit that Blackburn are just a bit mental, I actually think they might bounce back in this one and win this game somehow and completely do a 180 from that performance against Rotherham. Score prediction in this one, going to go 2-1 Blackburn for no reason at all. They're just a bit mental, aren't they? Next then for Cardiff up against Millwall. Cardiff have a lot to contend with at the moment, being just 1 place outside the relegation zone. 3 points only separates them and that dotted line. They're on the 2nd longest winless run in the league right now, which stretches back to 8 Championship matches, and Millwall surely will see this as an opportunity to pounce on a team which is vulnerable at the moment. Millwall themselves at times have been a little bit unreliable and a little bit up and down on the road, but to be fair to them, when they do sense an opportunity is there to really strike on a vulnerable opposition, I think they do go ahead and capitalise. You know, we've seen those away performances at times from Millwall this season against the likes of Bristol City, Preston and Watford when they have sensed those opportunities, and given the way Cardiff are going at the moment, this feels like it could be another one of them for Millwall right here. Score prediction, I'm just going to back Millwall for an away win in this one. 1-0 I'm saying, although it probably will be tight and a draw wouldn't massively surprise me. Only 1 place in the league table currently set separates QPR and Swansea, and I don't think there'll be all too much to separate them in this game. They're both in that situation in the table where a little bit of consistency in each of their play, and they could very much challenge for one of those final spots in the playoffs come the second half of the season. From a QPR perspective, it's still Neil Critchley very much getting his feet under the table there. There have been some positive indicators, but overall the results have been quite varied since he's come in. Last time out it was obviously that 2-2 draw with Reading. Quite under par first half performance, but turning it around in the second half with that Tyler Roberts brace. Got to see the first glimpse of Jamal Lowe coming off the bench as well. Thought he had a positive impact, and I'm expecting him to be a consistent starter in that team going forward. Going up against the Swansea side, who they themselves got a decent win last time out, 3-1 away at Sunderland, albeit they were helped by that man advantage for the majority of that game, but second half they made that extra man count and ultimately got the result over the line. For both teams, it's important to establish a little bit of consistency. A draw here wouldn't surprise me, but my gut feeling's just saying that maybe QPR will just swing this one with Jamal Lowe popping up with a goal against his former side. That seems like the narrative which could be wrote in this one. So score prediction, just going to go 2-1 QPR with a bit of a gut feeling there. Next up then for Stoke up against Reading. Surely something has to give in this game between these two sides. Stoke have been pretty useless at home, but Reading's away record isn't much better. So far this season, of their 13 home matches, Stoke have only won 3 of them. They're on a really torrid run of form at the moment. They're not scoring a lot of goals, not creating a lot of clear-cut chances, and ultimately teams are getting the better of them. Going up against the Reading side, whose results have been a little bit more varied as of late. Obviously they had that quite dramatic 2-2 draw with QPR last time out. There have been some shoots of encouragement in terms of performances on the road, maybe that point against Norwich being an example of that, but I don't think I'm that bold enough to go strongly either way on this one, because Stoke have been so unreliable at home, and likewise for Reading away. So score prediction in this one, I'm going to say they'll cancel each other out and it'll be an unhelpful 1-1 draw here. Next then for Watford up against Rotherham. This will be a really telling result and performance here by what we get from Rotherham, whether or not they can follow up their fantastic showing last time out against Blackburn, and whether or not they go with a similar sort of approach in this one. It was a lightning fast start against Blackburn where they really took the game to them in that one. Whether or not they'll sort of revert to type in this one, look to go to a more passive side in this game where they look to soak up pressure against this Watford team, then hit them on transitions and breaks and things like that. I think that's probably more likely to be the case. The problem that Rotherham have had when they've picked up a lot of these results throughout the season so far has been their reluctancy to properly follow it up. They've only won back-to-back matches in the Championship once so far this season, and that right there is a telling picture of why they've struggled for that consistency. Watford themselves have been getting a little bit more consistency about them as of late, winning back-to-back Championship matches. That's been the problem. And the task, I suppose, that Bilic has been tasked with this season, to get Watford into the promotion picture and to go ahead and guide them back up to the Premier League. Pretty comfortable last time out against Blackpool, albeit it did take them quite a bit of time to go ahead and break them down, and I could maybe see a similar game unfolding in this one. Score prediction, I'm just going to back Watford, I think, for a 2-0 home victory, but it'll be very telling to see if Rotherham can follow up from that fantastic showing last time. Then we go to Wigan up against Luton. I bet these two fan bases are absolutely sick of the sight of each other. This will be the 3rd time they've met in the last 14 days, which is absolutely ridiculous. Fair play to the Luton fans especially, who travelled up to Wigan in midweek, obviously in that FA Cup replay. In the end it was Luton who just got the better of that tie, coming up with the 98th minute winner. Adebayo popping up with that to win the tie 2-1 for Luton and to send them through to the next round. In the league, both teams fighting for very different causes at the moment. Luton, one of those sides on the brink of the top 6. Wigan looking to make any ground up on the teams above them at this stage. I anticipate it being another quite tightly contested game, as the two FA Cup games proved to be between these sides. Both teams put out fairly strong teams for that replay as well, but overall I think Luton's quality may just take them through this game as well, and whether or not Wigan learnt enough lessons from that defeat in midweek, I'm going to go for the same scoreline here. 2-1 Luton, I'm saying. I think they may just shade this one again. And then to finish things off for the weekend, on Sunday we are heading to the Stadium of Light for Sunderland up against Middlesbrough. This one should be a really interesting time. Will be an interesting indicator to see just whereabouts this Sunderland side is at the moment and if their top 6 chances are to be taken seriously this season. Going up against Borough, who have been in fine form since Carrick's taken over, on a brilliant run at the moment, and they themselves looking to well establish themselves as a outfit in the top 6 right now. Sunderland haven't had the greatest of starts to the new year. They had that opening day draw with Blackpool on January 1st. They then had that quite disappointing 3-1 defeat against Swansea, where the circumstances sort of went against them. Having that red card early on in that first half ultimately left them short. I anticipate a tighter match in this one between two sides who are definitely going to be up for it, but I just see Borough shade in this one. 2-1 Middlesbrough, I'm saying on the road, but it should be a good game. But guys, there we have it. Those are my Championship score predictions heading into the weekend. As always, I want to get your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you agree with my shouts? Let me know down below. If you did go on to enjoy it, make sure to leave a like and do stick around and subscribe for some regular Championship content. But for that, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.